Hey, what's up? This Mosquito Spray. You're tuning into Mosquito Spray Boxing Breakdown. So as you can see in the graphic, you got old Mr. Takeover himself, Teofimo Lopez. And he's flanked on each side by two bona fide killers in today's fight game, Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson. And you can also see on the graphic it says the walls are closing in on Teofimo Lopez. So we're going to dig into this a little bit, break it down, and look at it from each perspective and explore the possibilities of either one of these matchups and see what we think about it. All right, so let's go on and get into it. All right, so first let's talk about the current champion, Teofimo Lopez. Comes in with a record of 22 wins, 1 loss, no draw with 13 knockouts. Lopez first made his name at 35 by becoming 3-belt unified lineal champion. Notable fights at 35 were a unanimous decision victory over Sil Lomachenko and a split decision loss to George Kambosos. Then moved up to 140 and made his name up there by becoming WBO and lineal champion. Notable fights at 40, unanimous decision victory to become champion versus Josh Taylor, took his belt. Unanimous decision victory over Jermaine Ortiz, and his most recent fight, unanimous decision victory over Arnold Barbosa Jr. Now, as far as what I've seen from Lopez since he moved up to 40, he has not seemed to carry up the same power that he did have at 35. He's seemed a bit more devastating at 35, stopping guys with one-punch knockouts in some cases. And just was, sharp. He's still sharp, still got his boxing ability, he can still do everything. He just don't seem to have the power and the effect on guys he had down at 35. But be as it may, he's still good enough to be, as of now, the lineal champion, which, on this channel we put the most respect on, because that's the guy that's recognized with all these sanctioned bodies in politics nowadays. That's the man that beat the man, and he did beat the man at the time in Josh Taylor. So as far as the champions in the division, you got to put the most respect on Lopez because he does have a lineal title. So that's Teofimo Lopez. So let's go on and get into the next part of this. Now, some of y'all might remember this setup here from the night of September 13th when they brought Lopez and Shakur Stevenson up on the set and entertained the idea of making that fight. And it's kind of funny on this picture. You can see the look on Lopez's face, kind of like, man, what did I get myself into? He looking straight ahead, like he don't want to have no concern with what Shakur Stevenson got going on. And this might have been after Shakur Stevenson also told him, if y'all remember, looking dead in his eyes, told him, I already know how to beat you. And, that's a heck of a thing to tell a man on TV, you know what I'm saying? So they've entertained the idea of making this fight, and of course with the fight we just got with Canelo and Crawford, and His Excellency in Riyadh season throwing his bread around like they are. This could be very possible, you know what I'm saying? It's a fight I would love to see. And hey, like I said, Lopez is the champion, and anybody that been watching boxing the last few years, Shakur Stevenson want all the smoke. And I would love this fight. Let me go and talk about Shakur Stevenson a little bit. All right, so here we got Shakur Stevenson, the young man that I call the Brick City Berserker. Comes in with a record of 24 wins, no losses, no draws, with 11 knockouts. Now, as far as what he's achieved in the ring, his first weight class was 126. Became the WBO champion at featherweight. He didn't really have any notable fights at that weight. He was still kind of finding his way. Moved up to 130. Became WBC, WBO, and lineal champion at 130. Notable fights at that weight: unanimous decision over Robson Kasai. Stopped Jamel Hearns to win his first title, and then won a unification bout against Oscar Valdez by unanimous decision. And then he moved up to 35, where he is currently the WBC champion. And it's notable fights thus far at 35, unanimous decision over Edwin De Los Santos, a fight he got a lot of kickback on because he said he had a hand injury, and I guess people moved him more than people wanted him to or whatever. Nevertheless, unanimous decision over Edwin De Los Santos in his most recent fight, a fight that he put on a brilliant performance in my opinion, unanimous decision over William Zepeda. And which he was dominant. You know what I'm saying? All the talk about he couldn't do this and couldn't do that. He stood in the pocket, slip, catch and shoot. The whole book, man. Brilliant performance. And yeah, he want all the smoke, man. He, of course, been trying to make the fight with Tank Davis. Of course, we all know how that's been going. Try to, if he couldn't get that, trying to get the roast fight. Entity champions. You know what I'm saying? He wanted Lomachenko back in the day. And another thing that nobody ever talks about. Everybody, and credit to Devin Haney because he does, he don't turn down a lot of fights. But in my opinion, the one guy was not anxious to fight is this guy right here. Remember after the Lomachenko fight, which at that night I initially thought Lomachenko won or whatever. Be as it may, Devin Haney defended his titles against Lomachenko, but Shakur Stevenson got in that ring after that fight. Devin Haney didn't give him 30 seconds to speak. Told him, man, I'm still number one, and walked out the ring, man. And then when he tried to offer him a fight, offer him what, 75, 25? Come on, man. That's the same basically, indentured servant tactics that Kambosos played with him when they fought. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna come back doing, you basically lowballed him out the fight, man. And so I believe Devin Haney ducked Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? You see what nobody's yet to even come close to beating him. So he's doing what he's saying he's gonna do. He is what he's saying he is. You know what I'm saying? And now he wants to smoke with Teofimo Lopez. And it's a fight that I would love to see, man. And hopefully with this new climate in boxing, alleviating all these promoters and all this red tape. Hopefully we can get this kind of fight, man. And if also as far as from an accomplishment standpoint, in the event that this fight does happen, if Shakur Stevens is able to pull it off, he will become a 4-division champion. You know what I'm saying? He would be a 2-division lineal champion because he became lineal champion at 130. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big deal, and that's snapping that legacy. A lot of these fighters nowadays, they don't keep legacy in mind. Of course, they prize fighters, they fighting for the money, but some of these guys care about their legacy too. And Shakur Stevenson is one of these guys that's trying to test himself against whoever's willing to get in with him. I like this young gun, and I hope this fight does happen. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see it. But that's enough on Shakur Stevenson, man. Let's get to this next little situation. All right, so what you see on this graphic are the current 140-pound rankings in the WBO. And if you're looking at top position, number one, the name right there is none other than Keyshawn Davis, a.k.a. the businessman. Now, of course, with recent developments, which was, supposed to be Davis' last title defense or whatever, and all that stuff that went down, and him coming back saying he's going to take a year off from boxing, and all that kind of stuff. Who knows how realistic this is, but be as it may, right now he's ranked number one in the WBO rankings, and he has in the past, of course, expressed desire to fight Teofimo Lopez. So if the Stevenson fight cannot get made for whatever reason, hey, you got the number one guy in your rankings who wants to fight you, who is a young, hungry lion, you know what I'm saying, who was briefly a champion, at the division right below. And, these guys have been in the ring before sparring or whatever the case may be. And, I know at one time or another there was some bad blood amongst the camps. And, of course, also with, I guess in recent time with Teofimo saying some things that were, perceived as racist or whatever the case may be, and doing some things like the night when Keyshawn, I guess lead up to the Baranchik fight, Keyshawn said somebody delivered some inappropriate things to his room, and you got Teofimo Lopez making trolling videos, eating bananas and all this kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure in the event that he was able to, I don't think Keyshawn Davis would hesitate to be able to put his hands on Teofimo Lopez. So this is a fight, you know, like I said, depending on what Keyshawn Davis is wanting to do, you know, within a certain time frame. This is a fight that could be possible, you know what I'm saying? It's a fight just like the other one I would love to see. And man, either one of these fights are stiff challenges and a real threat to the title reign of Teofimo Lopez. Let's go on and touch on Keyshawn Davis a little bit. All right, so here we got Keyshawn Davis, the man that calls himself the businessman. Comes in with a record of 13 wins, no losses, no draws, with 9 knockouts. Now, thus far, Davis has only operated at 135, where he became WBO champion with a 4th round stoppage over Dennis Baranchik. And of course, he never defended that title because he was supposed to defend it against Edwin De Los Santos. He ended up losing the belt on the scale, coming in a ridiculous, like 4.5 pounds overweight. And that whole night just turned to a disaster, to say the least. And but as far as the notable fights he did have in the division, he had a 6th round stoppage over Jose Pedraza, and he also had a 2nd round stoppage over Gustavo Lemos, who also came in heavy for their fight. And on the night of the fight was, I don't know, maybe a junior middleweight, and he was also coming off of a tough fight with Richardson Hitchens, which some people thought Lemos actually won, but Davis was able to dispatch him in easy fashion and in brutal fashion as well. And so, you know, Davis, he's still young in the game, and of course, after the scale mishap when he lost his belt via the scale, he said he couldn't make the weight anymore and was moving up to 140. And of course, you got him, like I said earlier, he's #1 guy according to the WBO rankings. Him and Teofimo Lopez have had some words in the past, and there's even been some bad blood between the camps, and rumors of some things that happened in the gym. And hey, this will be an excellent fight, man. We got one of the best young guns in the game whenever he is active, because despite of everything I said about, the man missing weight and losing his belt, and, the night turning into what it did and all that, the talent with this fighter is undeniable. Keyshawn Davis is the full package, and let's not forget he's fighting out in that B&B Academy out there with Bomac and them guys. And you already know what kind of product they putting out there, so it ain't even no question to ask with that. So, yeah, Keyshawn Davis will definitely present a stiff challenge to Teofimo Lopez, and he's a force to be reckoned with. So, like I said, he's talking about taking some time off, but whenever he decides to come back, he's a threat to anybody at 140 pounds, especially them guys with them belts. Because Keyshawn Davis, when he is on point, it's hard to look around the landscape of boxing and name, even a couple of guys that you could see beating this dude when he had his best. You know what I'm saying? And when he does come back, I'm looking forward to seeing, what he puts forth, man, because he is a young, talented fighter. And aside from the high, diverse skill set, he can punch. I think he's proven that by now. Of course, we got to see if his power carries up to 140. But from what I've seen, hey, I don't think hey, I'm looking forward to when he get it back out there. And I can't lie also, with the situation with the belt getting lost on the scale and, all the upcoming inactivity, whatever's finna happen, I have taken him out of my pound for pound consideration until he does come back and, just basically get back to work, man. Because, like I said, there ain't no denying his talent, man. He's one of the best out there, man, with these young guys. And it ain't a lot of people that I'm going to, pick against him. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, that's the other challenge, potential challenge that's presented for Teofimo Lopez, man. So let's just dig a little deep into this thing, see what we come up with. All right, so I ain't going to go too long on this part. So as far as how I think either of these fights will play out, I'm not going to go into real detail with either one of them, but I will say I don't see a path for Teofimo Lopez to beat either one of these guys. And if either one of these fights do get made, I look forward to doing the breakdown and going into great detail about the when, what, how, and why Teofimo Lopez will not beat, in my opinion, Keyshawn Davis or Shakur Stevenson. Now, as far as which one of these fights I think is more realistic right now, like I mentioned earlier, you got Keyshawn Davis over there saying, he's going to take a year off and, he's got a lot of stuff going on or whatever the case may be. And then you got Shakur Stevenson who's coming off a big victory, you know what I'm saying? Affiliated with Riyadh season now, with the ability to get in there with whoever, you know what I'm saying? And, of course, the other big champion at his weight class and Tank Davis don't want no parts of him apparently. So instead of wasting his time with that, why not try to go to your next division, you know what I'm saying? So, and this is, let's not get it twisted, this is a great young fight between two good young guns, man. They both in their physical prime. Teofimo Lopez is a 2-division champion, 2-division lineal champion. Shakur Stevenson is a 3-division champion. You had what they called the 4 Kings, which I didn't agree with them calling these guys yet, but it was Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Tank Davis. But then the other guy that they, was kind of right on the outside of that group, but you could pack in with them, Shakur Stevenson. He came, right behind them, you know what I'm saying? He was just a weight class below, but now he's up here with him. And that's a fight I would love to see, man. Like I said, I don't see Teofimo beating either one of these guys. He hasn't carried the same power up to 40 that he had to 35. And if he ain't got that equalizer, I just don't think it's a path. But I would love to see this fight, and I would love to see, the legacy going forward afterwards, because that's what this, of course, is for the money, for them to make, much as they can take care of their families, but also it's for, the legacy, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate guys like Shakur Stevenson that are after their legacy. And Teofimo Lopez also, to a certain extent, he kind of ducked Haney at 35. He started doing the Hollywood thing once he got the titles, when he became what he called undisputed, which wasn't undisputed, because of course Haney had WBC. But he went up to 40, took on Josh Taylor, and he did fight Lomachenko when Lomachenko was still Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? He stopped Comey to get his first title. Comey was tough, the Ghanaian, you know what I'm saying? Took the IPF belt off of him. So Lopez, he's proved himself, you know what I'm saying? But of course, it's more work to do. And what better way to do it than to take on, one of the top 10 pound for pound guys in the world, in my opinion, who wants to smoke, who's coming up from a lower weight class. So let's see what's what. But yeah, that's what I think, man. But let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all think he should fight Shakur Stevenson? Or do you think there's a way that Davis fight is more of a possibility? Or is there somebody else you want to see him fight instead of either one of these guys? Let me know what y'all think. I look forward to hearing. But I appreciate it, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all take it light.